What's up, good people? Today is September the 8th, 2025. I hope everybody had a great weekend and their Monday is going good so far, and that the rest of the week is prosperous for you guys and everybody makes it through healthy and the family makes it through healthy. But I want to talk to you guys because I've posted a couple videos and talking about this deploying of the military into American cities, in which I thought a little bit more in depth about it this morning. It just kind of hit me because I could say it's September the 8th, and we all know that in 3 days it will be so many years, I think 23 years at this point since 9/11 happened. And so it got me to thinking that this president is more than likely also deploying the military into major cities because of the possible terrorist attacks that could occur. Because if anybody knows how evil works, because it's sick to think about the fact that certain people walk around plotting on how they can do something to someone else or hurt someone else. But it's a reality that we have to live with, that people walk around thinking about hurting others. And so, in more depth, we have to think about the fact that that nuclear facility that was bombed over in Iran, and how Iran responded, stating that they're not going to take this sitting down or lying down, that they are going to stand up for their country and for what they believe in and for their people. And it's been extremely quiet. That whole situation truly seemed like it never even occurred because of the silence that we have when it comes to that bombing of that nuclear facility. But anybody with any type of rational thinking knows that those people are more than likely sitting back, plotting and scheming and coming up with ways to retaliate against the United States. And what better time, so to speak, because there's not ever a good time to commit terrorist acts. But in their minds, what better time than around 9/11? Because when the Twin Towers were hit, apparently the act was done by Middle Easterners. And so I believe in order to keep an eye out on these cities and these areas, that could possibly be another reason why the so-called commander-in-chief of this country is deploying the military into these states too. Because one thing we should expect from this group of people that's running the government right now is that they are hush-hush, secretive, and they tell a lot of lies. And so in order to keep the public from acting irrationally or becoming extra paranoid because of threats that this country more than likely has been receiving from Iran and from the Middle East, they're doing it in a secretive way. They're doing it in a way to cover up why they're doing it. And don't get me wrong, he's also doing it for the reasons that I spoke about on previous recordings, which are to build up his power, to have more control over each and every state, so that when the elections do come around, he's got the military in every state. And so if anybody gets out of line, anybody goes against him, we know how communist leaders do things. They do things by force. And so if you go against him and the military is bending at his will, then a lot of people will be scared to go against this guy because they feel like their lives could be in danger if they go against what he wants to have done. And so he's doing this in order to stay in power, even though he doesn't talk about it as much as he once did. And that's because he wants to do a sneak attack, basically. He wants it to be a surprise, so to speak. But anybody who, once again, thinks rationally can see exactly what he's doing and why he's making the moves that he's making. And then another reason why he's doing it, even though he keeps saying crime, 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 he's also removing the homeless people off of the streets. Where these people are going, I don't know. What they're going to do with these people, I don't know, because my thing is, if you go and tear down the homeless camps and all this, all they're going to do is go build homeless camps elsewhere. So how can you really fight homelessness? And the only ways, and there's ways to doing it, but it's called help. It's not called go in and be a bully and force people out of their comfort zone, so to speak, and push them further out into the suburbs. I don't know where he thinks these people are going to go. But he's not doing anything to help these people. He's only going in like a bully and forcing these people out of these homeless camps. And then he goes and he makes an AI image of himself. And like I said, these are textbook moves that adoring communist leader makes, y'all. If you were able to pull up any information on North Korea, you'll see all kinds of posters of him, and they probably got all kinds of things that they show on television about him and his family. But this is textbook communist actions, y'all. No matter how much the Republican side of things is trying to defend him and say that that's not the truth, it is the truth, y'all. And his stance on it is basically, I'm bringing the military to Chicago, and there's going to be war in the streets of Chicago. But yet, Chicago does not have the highest crime rate in the United States. Believe it or not. The highest crime rates are coming out of St. Louis, Missouri, coming out of Memphis, Tennessee. But apparently, St. Louis and Memphis are run by Republicans. But Washington, D.C., if I'm not mistaken, in Chicago, they're run by Democrats. So how do you force your will? Well, I'm not going to go into the Republican cities because I already have those people. I'm going to go into cities where the crime rate is high, but outside of that fact, I'm going to go in there, and if they try to go against me, meaning the Democrats, I got the military there. I got the firepower. I have the weaponry. Y'all, this guy is doing such evil, sadistic things right in front of our face. And because we have so many people that are men and women of war, is what I would like to describe them as, meaning that they go around mad at the world. They build up hatred towards different groups of people and towards different cities and different parts of the city. They do these things, and all this guy is doing is feeding off of you guys' anger and feeding off of you guys' hate. And he's telling you things that you want to hear. And because y'all want to hear it, y'all are falling for the acts that he's committing. And it's extremely sad, y'all. But once again, it's just a sign of the times, is how I like to describe it. You know, this country is headed in a direction that it's not ever been in before. And so that's what I mean by a sign of the times, that the tide has truly changed, and the direction that we're going in, only God truly knows where we're going to end up at. And I'm not talking about y'all's president God. I'm talking about Jesus's Father. I'm not talking about Satan, because that's who their God is. It's a known fact that this president, and more than likely everyone underneath him, worships the devil. And because they have been in sin for so long that they are unable to come out of that hole that they've dug for themselves. And this country is going straight to hell because it's being led by a hellmonger. And once again, because people are so full of the world and so caught up in the world, they're just following right alongside this guy and right behind this guy, thinking that he's their savior and that he's going to do all the things that he says he's going to do, in which he has not done. Most of the things that he said he was going to do has not been done. And if he has done those things, they have been extremely unsuccessful. But yet, for whatever reason, which I already said the reason, because people like to hear lies, people continue to believe in this guy. And I'm just speaking my mind about him. It may not change anything as far as government-wise. But if I can change some people's minds, and not just change your mind, but have you see things the right way. It's not my way, it's seeing things the right way. And see that this guy is an outright liar and a Satanist. And what's crazy about it, there's some witch that's a part of the entertainment industry. She's been seen with all these so-called celebrities, because ain't nobody a celebrity in my world and in my eyes. But she's been seen with your big-time rap artists and your singers and your actresses. And she outright said that this president is a high warlock or something, she said, a wizard or something, she said. And it's the truth. You know, the devil will tell the truth about their own. And it's true. He's a wizard. He's a warlock. And that's why he's got so many people in a trance, you know. He's put a spell on people, and people have just fallen into the trap. But I wanted you guys to just be on alert and be aware, because like I said, Iran is like a sleeping giant. It may not have the biggest army. It may not even be the biggest country. But it's a sleeping giant right now. And they're just waiting for the right time to awaken and strike this country down, or at least put a hurting on this country as much and as bad as they can. Because we have to understand, we have a lot of people in this country that's willing to die for this country. But the people over in the Middle East and a lot of these Asians, their dying for the country is on a whole nother level. I mean, literally, these people will, you don't know any American for the most part that's going to strap bombs to themselves and walk into somewhere and blow themselves up along with everybody else. That's not many Americans who's going to do that, even though they are willing to die for what they believe in. You don't have many Americans that's going to get in an airplane and crash that airplane into a building and kill themselves along with everybody else. It's not many Americans that's going to do that. So when I tell you that these people's mindsets are on a whole nother level, you know, we think that poverty is bad here in the United States. Poverty is 100 times worse over in the Middle East. We think that the drug problem is bad in the United States. Go over to the Middle East and you will see what a true slum looks like. The ghettos and the projects, and here in Atlanta we had Forest Cove, or some people know it as Four Seasons as far as the older people, that truly looked like the slums for us. But over in the Middle East, that's like a 5-star hotel to them. These people are truly living at the bottom when it comes down to poverty. So their mindsets are just different, y'all. Americans, we are not built like some of these other countries are built when it comes down to the people. And that's just the God honest truth. But we just have to be prepared, y'all. Keep your eyes open because we don't know what's going to happen. 9/11, the date is coming up soon. And I'm not wishing anything. I'm not saying that something's going to happen because I don't want to see thousands of people hurt or thousands of people killed. And I don't care what country you're in. Unless you just the evil of the evil 1,000 and 2,000 people, then maybe. But I just don't want to see innocent lives lost, y'all. But who knows what's going to happen. So we just got to be prepared because anything could happen in a few days from now. But I just want to get on here and talk to you guys a little bit and spread that information. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. And I'll talk to you soon.